Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 mod video. Today I've got a very special release to talk to you about, and that is yet another Commonwealth Weaponry expansion release. For those who are unaware, that is the project that Pig and I run, bringing back new, real-world weapons into Fallout 4 that just haven't been made yet. Today's release is going to be the Assault Shotgun, which is based on the prototype AA12, also known as the Atchison. Now, you may be familiar with a modern-day AA12, which doesn't really have a place in Fallout Sandbox in my opinion, but the prototype AA12 definitely does. This thing is essentially a big metal tube filled with a bunch of other parts from other weapons, like an M16 handguard and a Thompson pistol grip. That, combined with a bunch of crappy welds and some thrown together scrap pieces of wood, makes the Atchison 12 prototype. And I think that's a perfect gun for Fallout 4, and a pretty interesting place in the weapon sandbox. The combat shotgun already does exist, but the assault shotgun is going to be a step just above that. While it is using the same 12 gauge ammo type, it's going to have an only full auto capability. Now, while the combat shotgun has access to a semi-auto and full auto, the Atchison is going to be a faster fire rate, and it's going to come in full auto out of the box. So if you pick one of these up, you're not going to need any perks to upgrade it. So if you're not running heavy into the gun nut perks, you will be able to use this thing in full auto without needing to use any perks to attach those. Now, obviously, since this is a full auto shotty that's supposed to perform better than the combat shotgun, this is intended to be a late game weapon, but what a late game weapon it is. Not to mention, beyond the traditional box mags, this thing even has a drum mag, much like an AA12 should, so you will be able to spout out these 12 gauge rounds with some pretty high capacities once you upgrade it a little bit. Now, speaking of attachments, this weapon is heavily customizable. There's not a ton you can do to its performance aside from its sub-ammo types, but it is always going to be a full auto shotgun. That being said, there are over 45 new attachments, including those new ammo types like I mentioned, which can include things like Dragon's Breath or slug rounds or some other fun goodies. We will of course go into that in a little bit more detail once we get to the attachment section. Now, on top of that, another wonderful feature of this mod is the custom animations provided by War Daddy's AA12. They definitely help this thing shine and make it look very, very nice in-game. We'll show those off in a dedicated animation segment in a minute so you can get a real good look at it, but I gotta say, they're one of my favorite animations we've thrown on a weapon thus far. Now, if you want to get your hands on this weapon, it is added to the leveled list as always, and it can be found on Raiders, Gunners, and even the Brotherhood of Steel after level 18. On top of that, of course, you can always purchase it from a vendor if you're having trouble finding it on an NPC. Now, one more important note about this weapon is that it does have 3 uniques in this mod. Yeah, a whopping 3 of them. But they're all very, very cool and very different from each other, offering not only their own unique attachments, but also some cool skins that change the way the weapon looks. Now, lately, I haven't been spoiling the unique locations, but these ones are just so cool that I think I'm going to do that today and talk a little bit about each one. But first though, let's go ahead and talk about the stats of the base version of this weapon, a section of the videos I've been forgetting lately. So, for the automatic assault shotgun, we have a base damage of about 50. You can ignore the on-screen damage, as I do have some mods installed that change the way that weapon damages work, but the base damage for this weapon is 50 in most games. I do have some perks and stuff from the New Vegas skill tree that make that a little bit different. Now, this weapon does use 12 gauge rounds, which is going to be the standard shotgun shell in vanilla. It's just called 12 gauge in my game because of munitions. This thing has a fire rate of 46, again in full auto, a range of 68, an accuracy of 58, a weight of 11 pounds as it is pretty much just a chunk of steel and some wood parts, and a value of 226 caps. This thing also has an 8-round magazine, and all of these stats can of course be modified with the various attachments over at the weapons workbench. Now then, like I said, there are a handful of uniques in this mod, so let's go ahead and talk about those. Now, starting with the first unique, Burning Rubber. This thing is going to have an even faster fire rate than it already does, and a faster reload, which is pretty funny. It comes with its own unique aesthetic, offering a nice flames paint job and some quick eject mags on top of that. If you want to get your hands on this thing, it is actually purchasable from the vendors over at the Atom Cats. Now, the next unique is known as Atom's Might, and this is going to deal an additional amount of radiation damage. And as you can see, it's essentially the Gamma Gun version of this shotgun, complete with a custom green paint job and a nice little radiation symbol, along with all of the little Gamma gubbins. So if you want to get this one, you actually have to head all the way over to Far Harbor and purchase it from the vendors in the Nucleus. And finally, that leaves my favorite unique in this mod, and that is the Bandit Blaster, offering some additional bleed damage and a nice Raider paint job. This is obviously a Raider's take on this shotgun. If a Raider got their hands on this thing, I'd like to think this is what they would do to it, offering a drum magazine and of course, no stock. Now, if you want to get your hands on this one, it is not available at a vendor, as again, this is a Raider shotgun. You're going to have to fight your way through the DB Technical High School and find it in the boss chest. Now then, let's talk animations. Like I said, this weapon does come with custom animations by War Daddy, and there's a couple of sets of animations as well. Starting off with the regular box mag animations. On top of that, though, we also have some drum mag animations for this guy. Now then, I think it is time to talk about the attachments over at the weapons workbench, starting off with the receiver section. For the receivers, it's pretty simple, standard up through powerful. Again, all of these available in fully automatic, nothing too special there. But when we move on to barrels, we do have options for a sawed-off barrel, a standard barrel, and a long barrel, offering you some nice range and a tighter pellet spread. For the stock section, we have the option for a remove stock, which is just going to have the gigantic buffer tube. We have a makeshift stock, which is very similar to the standard stock, but it is a little scrappy. It has some tape and it's falling apart at the back there, similar to the Fallout 3 hunting rifle stock. The full stock is going to be the standard stock, so you don't have to sacrifice stats to use this thing. We have a gunslinger stock, which is going to offer some shotgun shells. You really wouldn't be able to use these, considering you are using mags, but it does offer a faster reload when you have this equipped. And then finally, we have a recoil compensating stock, a modified version of the vanilla combat rifle stock that has been fitted onto this weapon here. Now then, for magazines, we have a small mag option, a quick eject version of that mag, a medium mag, a medium quick eject, and then of course the drum magazine, offering a huge increase to your magazine capacity, but it is going to make the reload speed a bit slower, and I believe it also makes the ADS time slower as well. For sights, we have the standard iron sights, one of my favorite ways to run this weapon, but we also have options for glow sights, a laser sight, which does have my functioning laser sight capability, and then of course a hollow sight, a reflex sight, and a short scope, though I don't know why you'd want to use any of these on this weapon. The iron sights work just fine, and so does the laser. Now then, this thing does have a full suite of new muzzle options, including a bayonet, a duckbill choke, which is going to give you a tighter spread and better range, a spiked compensator, which is going to give you a little bit better accuracy and recoil, but it's also going to add some more bash damage, a regular compensator based on the real-life cuts compensator, a nice shotgun muzzle brake, and a gigantic 12-gauge suppressor. Now, we do actually have some different ammo type options for this weapon. They're all 12 gauge, but there are some different variants like junk shot shells, the buckshot shells, flechette shells are going to add some armor piercing, dragon's breath of course makes them incendiary, magnum buckshot is going to give you even more damage but more recoil as well, slug shells are going to give you slugs of course for better range, rifled slug shells are even more accurate than the ones before it, pulse slug shells are going to do more damage to robots and offer some electrical damage as well to other targets. Plasma slug shells are the same thing, but with plasma. And then explosive shells are going to offer fewer pellets, but they are going to explode on impact. A pretty powerful option for this weapon, if I do say so. And finally, that does leave one more option for this weapon, and that is the furniture. You can, of course, have the classic wood furniture, as is on the real prototype for this weapon, but we also added some black plastic options, and of course, a green plastic option, in case you want a nice little military-looking weapon. All really cool designs, just kind of depends on your own aesthetic. So yeah, guys, that is the prototype Atchison, or as it is known in-game, the assault shotgun. A very, very fun weapon, one of my favorite ones that we've made thus far. It's not only cool looking, but it's fun to use in-game, so if you want to try it out, it'll be linked in the description below, and of course it is over there on the Nexus if you want to find it that way. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and try the mod out for yourself, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to drop it an endorsement, it really helps it out. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like if that's your thing, or if you want to support me directly, you can use the link down in the description to support me on Patreon, though that is, of course, completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!